The question we will be discussing is around how can systems mapping support the development of impactful teams. We know that organizations play an important role. They can provide products and services that can really support the well-being of societies. We need strong teams to make that happen. Our world is becoming more interconnected, it's becoming more complex. So this is also making the work that these teams have to carry out more complex and less predictable. It makes it even more important that teams have a strong foundation to carry out their work together in a complex environment. We observe that at the moment, there are many teams who have to waste a lot of effort and energy sailing kind of on a broken ship or a ship that is not right for their purpose. Might have a slightly broken ship, so we have to waste energy on scooping out water. We might just fix the breakage with some duct tape, and there are things going on kind of under the waterline that are creating issues for the team. There tends to be a tendency to address symptoms instead of the underlying causes. But what we want to do instead is to use system thinking to help us develop teams that can remain impactful on a turbulent ocean. In your own experience, what are the common issues and challenges that teams run into? And then the next step is to have a look at the things that you have written down. How can you sort that into this iceberg model? For example, we have here a key team member leaves. So this is a specific event that we are observing that can have quite a big impact on the team itself. But over a longer time frame, we might observe that this is actually a pattern where this team has a relatively low retention rate, so there are more frequently people that are leaving. And maybe this is on a more structural level. We also have a lack of development opportunities for employees. And this might be one of the reasons for this low retention rate and for individual people leaving. And maybe on the level of the mindset, this is related to a lack of long-term thinking within that team. And we might also see low connectedness within the team, which also falls in the area of patterns. So once you have sorted your elements into this iceberg, then in the third step, you can also have a look at how are these aspects related to each other within the levels and also between them, and draw connection lines between the aspects to indicate that. So, for example, having a low retention rate further reduces the connectedness of the team. In general, this is a combination of a proven framework based on science and experience, making a kind of general systems map of what are all the things that need to be put in place for a team to work well together. Using that as a starting point, we then enrich that with the specific context of the teams we are working with. And the way that we're doing that is we start by collecting stories. So here we are working with a software called MindManager, where we have a certain format to ask a question and collect stories from team members and their experiences being in that team. This can be positive experiences, negative experiences. From there, we bring all of these stories together and make sense of them together. So we are categorizing what are challenges that are coming up more often, what are maybe low-hanging fruits that is being brought up. So things that can be resolved relatively easily versus topics that, needs to be approached with a more long-term strategic approach. And working with stories in this way allows us to uncover these challenges that are specific to the team, but it also helps to make people feel heard. It helps to increase understanding between team members, and already helps to work on the trust, the psychological safety, and the connection between people. Yeah, based on that, we are identifying, okay, what are key challenges for the team? What are low-hanging fruit? And then we are locating that within the team map that we have created based on science and experience and the understanding of, okay, what is needed for the team. And then from there, together with the team, we are going through the map and these different variables and aspects that are important, and having a look where is the team currently at for these variables. So for each of them, we are saying, okay, here we're doing well. Another one we have to work on, and someone might be like a really, really critical. And then based on that, it allows us to actually set up a strategy on how to work on these challenges. So what should be addressed in sequence, what should be addressed in parallel, and how can we set up working groups, a regie group, and micro interventions to make that happen. From there, then each group can really zoom into the specific challenges and see what are the connections here, what is making this happen, and work with that together to find solutions to make improvements. And ultimately, we also want to support these teams to become learning teams, to become learning organizations, so that once they have made these improvements and have a strong foundation for their team, they are also able to keep that up and make adjustments over time as they become needed. The overall goal of the team is really to be able to continue continuous value for all stakeholders. And what that value is will, of course, depend on the specific team and what they are doing together. And from there, we need to think about, okay, how do we make that happen? Here, we need to think about, okay, how efficient and effective is each individual within the team at their work, as well as what does the teamwork efficiency and effectiveness look like for the team. And of course, these two influence each other. We need individuals that are good at their work to make the teamwork easier, but individuals also depend on good teamwork to get their work done. And this connects, as I said, to the ability to learn and adapt. If we're able to learn and adapt, we can improve efficiency and effectiveness of our work. But at the same time, we also need to be able to work well in order to be able to learn and to adapt. If we look at the individual level, we might think about the team members' strength in just smart working skills, as well as their strength in really the task-related skills that they have. For the teamwork efficiency, we want to think about the quality of cooperation, which is related to how involved are team members with the functioning and performance of the team, which in itself is related to many other things that you can explore together in a moment. See here, we have broken down the full map into a couple of areas, and then there are some gaps where you can still draw in the connections. So to give some examples, we all went through this experience that a global pandemic makes meeting in person impossible, and that creates a special challenge for the quality of interpersonal relationships within the team. And we need to think about new ways to support that. Or there might have been a merger that creates an extra challenge for the trust between team members. Maybe two teams are being brought together that's in the past were in competition with each other, and they have a different culture. And now we need to think about how can we work with that to still improve the trust between the team members. Or one specific example that we're working with for one team was that they had a specific challenge with the stability of team composition. Because, yeah, due to the context that they were in, there were really frequent changes in the planning that leads to frequent changes in team composition. Here you can see the reinforcing loop that they found themselves within. So due to external factors, they needed to adapt their planning really frequently, which kind of reduced the quality of the planning and made it so that the stability of the teams was reducing, which leads to a decrease of the connectedness within the team, which then decreases the teamwork efficiency, which makes it even more difficult for them to reach their deadlines, which then leads to further needs to adapt the planning and further changes in team composition. So this made it more and more difficult for them to keep up this connectedness and to keep up their ability to make deadlines. So here we needed to think about ways to intervene in this loop.
The first step of the approach that she outlined, which is the collecting of the stories. We're doing that in many teams as the first step, because then you get a sense of what's happening in a team. And we use a tool which is called MindManager. And actually the builder of the tool, which a company called Aludo, makes it possible also to be here today with us, because we were doing these kind of sessions now and then when we had time in between projects. And Aludo, Mr. Pascal Tijdgat from Aludo, who is in Brussels, he really liked what we were doing also with the tool set of Aludo, MindManager, and he is supporting these kind of knowledge sessions. And so many thanks to him and his company. And one of the things that we do with his tool is we also built a little app to be able to collect stories and to interpret these stories. And we are also using AI now for that, if there are many, many stories. So like for the Ministry of Defense, we collected a larger number of stories than we're used to, as you can see in the screen. Mostly it's about 20, 60, 80 stories, but then we did a couple of hundred, and then we also use AI to find these patterns in the stories. And so we can do this because we are asking for these stories in a structured way. So you can see here a team which had to build a car within a year. It's one of the universities in the south. It's called Solar Team Eindhoven. This team is a relatively new team, and after a couple of weeks that they started, we start with collecting their stories, as you can see here, and they follow a certain structure. So I'll just show one of the stories. So we send out a form, and then people can individually fill in a number of stories, just one or more stories. So here you see the position of that person in the team, and he describes or she describes a certain situation and what he or she wanted to do in that situation, and why was it difficult, and what kind of solution or element of the solution this person filled in the form. And then with this tool, we collect all these stories and automatically transform that into this mind map, which makes it easier to go through the stories. Also, put tags in the stories together. So now you can see that some elements have been mentioned a lot of times, some just one or two times, and this can help you to give meaning to these stories. And it can also help you to build a system map. So as you can see, we have many stories here. So it's quite a large number. And if you have to go through this in a normal document, it will cost you a lot of time, and also makes it very difficult to see the connections. So now we have an easy way to structure information and look at all these stories and how they are connected. And the next step could be to make a system map, or a story map, as we call it. And the interesting part of this tool is that it's the only tool that helps you to quickly structure information, but also to tag the information and to be able to filter the information. So it has a very powerful filter function. where you can just look at all the tags, and you can also filter a combination of tags. Tool also makes it possible to export this map to an HTML map that you can open in your browser. People do not have to have the software to be able to look at the stories themselves and give meaning to them.
Based on the stories, we will, as we said, kind of enrich and customize this general map. So you see here, kind of place within the map, okay, what are challenges that are specific to our team that come out of the stories, and where within the map are they located, as well as some low-hanging fruit, easy to solve issues, and where they are located. And we will also, with the team, go through these variables together and have that discussion of, okay, where are we doing well and which ones do we really need to work on? And then based on that analysis, then we can really go into together building a roadmap and deciding, okay, in what sequence do we want to start addressing these variables that need improvements, and how do we want to go about that? I will briefly share with you what our standard roadmap looks like. And again, here, yeah, this is kind of the standard, assuming a team needs to really work on everything. But of course, we will then customize this depending on what the needs are of that specific team, as well as what are maybe additional challenges that are specific to the team that also need to be addressed within the roadmap. So you can later have a look here at the details of how we have arranged these elements. And then this is also where we like to use MindManager to build up this roadmap together, because it becomes really easy to kind of drag and drop things into place, to add additional tasks, and to even in a way kind of track where we are at with these tasks that are part of these steps. We have the kind of core group that is really in charge of keeping the overview of all the things that are going on and making more high level decisions. Then we have team sessions, so workshops where the whole team and the core group are coming together to work on certain aspects together. And we have the working groups. So they really zoom into these more specific challenges and together analyze what is needed here and then take these steps together. So for example, a working group could be around clarifying the team purpose and goal. And then at some point, this group might decide, okay, we need also a team session to discuss this together. They are the ones who provide the input for that team session and who then will also process the output of that. And again, there might be a more active phase during which this working group is working. But then after that, they also need to continue to monitor the aspect they were working with, and if needed, reactivate the group to continue to make improvements there. And then we also have what we call kind of improvement impulses. So those are not ongoing processes, but there can be more one-off activities that are taking place. So that could be a training around that focuses specifically on discussing psychological safety and what that means for the team. That might be a workshop to address like a specific disagreement or a specific tension that has come up during the group. And then we organize a one-off workshop to address that together. So those improvement impulses also happen in parallel to this whole process. And the working groups are in charge of kind of signaling to the core group, we might need an impulse like that. Can we organize an event? And yeah, the core group has to then decide, okay, how can we fit these into the whole roadmap and how can we make that happen? Things in our toolbox, so that can be, we maybe need a value stream or impact mapping for one of these steps. There might be a stakeholder map being created or a process or information flows. You maybe remember, yeah, these were all aspects around gaining clarity around what is the impact we want to create, what are the goals around that, so we can map that out, as well as yeah, the clarity of information flows can help to visualize that. We have worked with knowledge management in the past, have some ready to go psychological safety training. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we can use to support these processes when needed. Together with the team, with the core group, we will fill in the details of the roadmap and of what are the working groups that are needed and how do we approach this, depending on the specific context and challenge of the team that we are working with.